Besides the trig functions, all we have to do is recognize when the different trig functions are going to be positive and negative, and we can take these down pretty easily. In which quadrant does theta lie if the following statements are true? Tan of theta is less than 0, or negative. So tan of theta is negative, and cosine is negative. So let's first look at tan of theta and get this down. So tan of theta, right here, that's going to be negative in quadrants 2 and quadrant 4. Okay. Now, what about cosine? Get that out of here. Okay. Cosine. When is cosine negative? Well, cosine is negative in quadrant 3 and quadrant 2. So we can see here that the only place where tan of theta will be negative and cosine will be negative is going to be quadrant 2. Quadrant 2 is correct there. All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, just break these down independently. I'm going to start with the sine of theta is greater than 0. So sine of theta is greater than 0 in two places. It's going to be quadrant 2 and quadrant 1. Okay. What about tan of theta? When is that going to be? Actually, I want to keep the colors the same. And I like green better than orange anyway. All right, so tan of theta is greater than 0. In which two quadrants is tan of theta greater than 0? Well, it's going to be quadrant 3, and there it is. It's going to mix with the sine of theta being greater than 0 in quadrant 1. So quadrant 1 is correct there. All right, so now try this one on your own, and then unpause when you're done, and I'll go through it with you. Okay, you're unpausing. So when is tan of theta greater than 0? Only two quadrants, quadrant 3, quadrant 1. Okay, now what about cosine theta being less than 0, or when is cosine of theta negative? There's only two quadrants, right? Where cosine of theta will be negative, and that's going to be quadrants 2 and quadrants 3, and quadrant 3 is where they both show up, so quadrant 3 is the solution there. Tan is positive, and cosine is negative in quadrant 3. And then go ahead and try this one too. When you think you're done, you can unpause me and see if we nailed the correct quadrant. Okay, you're back. All right, sine of theta. When is sine of theta positive? It's positive in quadrant 2 and quadrant 1. They're all positive in quadrant 1. When is cosine theta negative? Well, they're all negative except for tan and cotangent in quadrant 3. And it's positive in quadrant 4, so that means quadrant 2 is the other place where it will be negative, and that's where we have the two different colors, so therefore we have quadrant 2 as a solution.